The wind howled low across the black Atlantic, and the sky had long since sealed itself shut behind walls of cloud. The sea rolled beneath like the back of a starving beast, slick with sickness, lashing the hull of the ship with cold, rhythmic anger. And on the deck of the Obsidian Serpent, a vessel born of blood and bound for the New World, the air already stank of something worse than salt and rot. It stank of fear. It was the 65th day since they'd left the coast of West Africa. 65 days since they packed the hold with shackled bodies, men, women, even children stacked like firewood in the wet dark. The crew had long since stopped looking them in the eye. The captain, a gaunt Scotsman named Harrow with a withered hand and a cough that never left him, didn't care as long as the cargo was breathing when they reached the Americas. But they weren't breathing anymore. The first signs came in the form of silence. No moaning. No rattling chains. Just nothing. One morning the sounds from below vanished like a candle snuffed out. Boatswain Riggs was the first to descend with a lantern, muttering curses about lazy flesh and spoiled profit. He never came back up. Then the screams started. What rose from the darkness weren't men anymore. Their eyes were glazed white, their mouths split open in howls that sounded like they came from the belly of hell. Their skin, soaked with brine and rot, peeled like boiled fruit. They didn't move right, jerked, stumbled, clawed. But they were fast. And hungry. Now only a handful of us remain above deck. Me, Elias, a former carpenter conscripted into service. I was meant to repair beams and patch holes, not survive the end of the world. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a hero. I just know how to listen. And I listened when the others laughed at the drums that beat on the shore before we left. I listened to the whispers of the old griots who said the dead would walk before the voyage was done. I didn't laugh. I remembered. The crew tried to fight. Blades and muskets. Fire. But bullets don't stop the dead when they don't feel pain, and fire only turned the hold into a furnace of screaming corpses. The ones who survived that burned their hands trying to seal the hatch. Too late. The infection was already on deck. There is no cure. There is no port. There is only ocean and death. We drift now, rudderless. Captain Harrow is gone, dragged screaming into the sea by something that had once been his first mate. I think he knew what this was. I think he brought it with him. Below deck they wait. They don't need food or water or light. Just flesh. Just sound. Just heat. The others are starting to crack. I see it in their eyes. I see it when they flinch at every creak of the boards. When they argue over who gets to sleep closest to the mast, furthest from the hatches. When they whisper to things that aren't there. I haven't slept in 2 days. I can't. Every time I close my eyes I hear them. Crawling. Scraping. Whispering in voices that sound like the drowned. If this message reaches land, if anyone ever finds the wreck of the Obsidian Serpent, remember this. It wasn't just plague that killed us. It was something older. Something buried in the bones of the sea. Something we were never meant to carry across the ocean. The dead don't stay dead. And this ship is cursed. Night never ends on the Serpent. The sun rises and falls, but it does nothing to chase away the gloom clinging to the sails. Every day the shadows stretch longer like they're reaching for us. Every night more of us vanish. There were 12 of us after the fire. Now we are 6. I keep a tally on the inside of the barrel I sleep in. Scratch marks made with the tip of a rusted nail. 1 for each day. 1 for each death. I ran out of room 2 nights ago. Now I scratch on the deck itself near the mast. The others think it's a curse that I'm marking us for death. Maybe I am. Maybe it's the only truth left. The infection doesn't spread like a sickness. It leaps like fire. You see someone flinch wrong, twitch too fast, and it's already over. They're already turning. I saw it happen to Josiah, the cook's boy. He fell from the rigging and cracked his skull open on the ballast. We thought he was dead. We hoped he was dead. He wasn't. An hour later he was crawling across the deck, head twisted at an impossible angle, eyes full of salt and spite. He sank his teeth into old Lemmy's throat before any of us could react. Lemmy didn't even scream. He just looked at me like he was sorry for dragging me into this voyage in the first place. We threw them both overboard. Didn't matter. By morning Lemmy was back. Bloated. Pale. Clawing at the hull from the waterline. He didn't get in, but he didn't sink either. Just floated there, staring until the sea finally swallowed him again. The other crew members are unraveling. Tomas, the gunner, put a musket in his mouth last night. pulled the trigger but the powder was wet. Now he just rocks in the corner with black powder burns across his face, muttering prayers in 3 languages. I don't think he knows where he is anymore. We've started hearing singing. Not from the dead, from below. Deep, mournful songs that bubble up through the wood late at night. Voices that sound like women. But can't be. Not here. Not anymore. Mika swears it's the sea trying to speak to us. He says we broke something sacred, that the voyage was cursed before it began. I asked him what we broke. He said, the chain between life and death. Then he laughed until he cried. The sails are still full but we're not steering. There's no one left to man the helm. The compass spins like it's drunk. The stars are wrong. I swear I saw a second moon last night, pale and swollen and dripping into the water like a wound. This isn't Earth anymore. This is some other place, some liminal crossing between worlds, and the serpent is ferrying us deeper into it. We tried to send a signal. Tomas lit a barrel of pitch on the stern, waving his coat above it like a flag. Something answered. A ship appeared on the horizon, black sails, no flag. It sailed against the wind, against the current. When we looked through the spyglass we saw no crew. Just more dead, staring back at us. The ship mirrored ours exactly. Mast for mast. Not a perfect reflection. When we blinked it was gone. I'm beginning to think we're not supposed to survive. There's a story they tell in the villages where I grew up of the Death Sea, a place where lost souls drift forever, still aboard the vessels that damned them. I thought it was just myth. Now I know better. This is the Death Sea. This is the place where time stops and the hungry things remember their hunger. The hold is quiet now. Too quiet. I know they're still down there but they've stopped moving. They're waiting. For what, I don't know. Maybe for us to open the hatch. Maybe for something worse. I don't think this ends with rescue. I don't even think this ends with death. It ends when the sea decides we've paid enough. And I don't think she's done counting. It's been raining for 3 days straight. Not the kind of rain that washes things clean. This is black water, oily and warm, sliding down our skin like breath from the dead. It doesn't puddle. It soaks. It soaks into the wood, into the sails, into our bones. I haven't spoken in nearly a day. My voice feels foreign now. The others have stopped talking too. Not out of fear, fear would be human. This is something else. We're forgetting. Not just names or faces. We're forgetting how to be. I caught my reflection in the brass of the compass plate. My eyes are ringed black. My skin looks bruised, not from violence but from rot. Am I changing? I can't be sure. There's something moving inside the walls of the ship. Not behind them. The grain pulses like veins. The beams groan like lungs. When you press your ear to the wood you can hear it breathing. We tried locking the hold again. Hammered planks, tied rope, prayed over it. Didn't matter. It opened this morning. Not splintered. Not smashed. Just open. Like it was never closed to begin with. No one volunteered to look inside. Even Tomas, who used to shout down any talk of superstition, kept his eyes averted like a beaten dog. There's nothing left down there we need. No food. No fresh water. Just the whispering. Mika's gone. Not dead. Not taken. Just gone. We woke to find his clothes folded at the bow, dry as bone. A single feather sat atop them. A raven's feather. We haven't seen a bird in weeks. I asked Tomas what he thought it meant. He said, it means we're next. I think the serpent is alive now. Not just haunted. Alive. It speaks in dreams. It feeds off the fear. It steers itself toward something, a destination we'll never reach and cannot escape. There was a moment yesterday, just after sundown, when the clouds parted and I saw the coastline. Land. Green and jagged and wet with promise. I shouted, waved my arms, called for the others. They didn't answer. When I looked again it was gone. Maybe it was never there. Maybe it was bait. Or worse, maybe it was memory. That night Tomas tried to take the longboat. Lowered it by himself, teeth gritted and bleeding from the gums. He didn't get 5 yards from the hull before the water itself turned on him. Something rose beneath the skiff, arms or tentacles or ropes I don't know, and dragged him under. We didn't see blood. Just bubbles. And then nothing. Now it's just me and the storm. I've nailed shut the captain's quarters. No one's used it since Harrow vanished, but I need the illusion of shelter. There's a ledger here. Old and water-warped, but legible. It tells me there were once 432 souls aboard. Crew and cargo alike. My count now, 4. Including me. I don't know who the others are. I hear them sometimes. Shuffling. Breathing. We pass without speaking. Maybe they're still human. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. I write this now with shaking hands and numb fingers. The ink runs from the damp, but I scratch it in anyway. Not for rescue. Not for warning. For record. For testimony. If the serpent ever reaches land, if her corpse ever washes ashore, someone must know what she carried. This wasn't just a ship. This was a sentence. A punishment. We weren't meant to cross the sea. Not like this. Not in chains. Not in defiance of death itself. And now we pay. I sleep beside the lantern. I keep it lit even when I close my eyes. But the shadows come anyway. They speak in the voices of the drowned. They tell me it's almost time. Time for what? I think I already know. I woke up with salt in my mouth. Not the taste of the ocean, but something thicker, like brine left too long in a corpse. My tongue is swollen. My gums bleed when I speak. I haven't eaten in days, yet I'm not hungry. That terrifies me more than the hunger ever did. The ship doesn't creak anymore. It groans. Long, deep moans like something waking slowly, something ancient and wrong. The sails are ragged, but they stay full. The ropes hang limp and wet like tendons. No wind. No stars. Just motion. I saw the sky open last night. Not clouds, open. Like a mouth. And something inside it looked down. Not eyes, but a kind of knowing. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It stared through me. It saw everything I'd done, every scream I'd ignored, every time I closed my ears to the wailing below. It judged me. And it smiled. One of the others, Ao, I think, finally spoke. His voice was dry, cracking like old wood. He said, they were never meant to die that way. That many. All at once. The sea remembers. I asked him what he meant. He only laughed. His teeth were all wrong, pointed, wet, as if something had grown inside him and was wearing his skin like a coat. I haven't seen him since. I stopped counting the days. Time is a loop here. The sun rises in the wrong place, sets into the sea like a knife through flesh. Sometimes I think I see the same bird fly by over and over. Sometimes I see myself on the deck across from me, staring back with blank eyes. We drift past islands that disappear when we blink. Great bones breach the surface now and then, fossils of sea creatures that shouldn't exist. Once we floated through a forest of shipwrecks, silent, upright, intact. Masts like crosses. Sails still furled. All of them empty. All of them watching. The dead in the hold aren't dead anymore. There's something else that I don't hear them moving. I feel them. Beneath my feet. In the boards. In the heartbeat of the ship itself. They're not waiting. They're growing. Fretting. This isn't about a plague anymore. It never was. This is about balance. About retribution. We stole lives. Stole bodies. Chained souls to timbers and thought the ocean wouldn't notice. The ocean noticed. Sometimes I hear singing again. But now it comes from above. It wraps around the mast like fog, slides down the rigging like fingers. I used to find it beautiful. Now I know it's a lure. There's a new shape on the horizon. Not land. Bigger. Blacker. It doesn't move. It doesn't reflect light. It absorbs it. Like a wound in the world. Every time we drift toward it, the wind picks up. The sails scream. The wood bleeds. And we get closer. I think it's a gate. Or maybe a grave. I think that's where we're meant to go. I haven't looked in the mirror in 2 days. I caught a glimpse in a puddle. My face was smiling. But I wasn't. I don't know how much of me is still. Me. There are only 2 of us left now. Me and the whispering. I don't see anyone anymore. Just shadows moving in ways they shouldn't. Walking upside down. Sliding through cracks in the hull. Crawling over the ceiling of my mind. I try to write. To finish this. To leave behind something human. But the ink turns to blood. The pages curl when I set them down. So I write. Because soon I'll be gone too. Not dead. Higgin. The serpent has its price. And I think it's almost paid. This is the last thing I will ever write. I no longer feel the cold. My skin is gray, my breath short, but I move with a kind of calm now. Not peace. Resignation. The kind you feel just before drowning when the struggle ends and you let go. That's what this ship is. A long, slow drowning. The sky never changes anymore. Just black, lit with stars I've never seen in any chart. Some of them move. Some blink. Some weep. I can feel their gaze when I sleep. If I sleep. The thing on the horizon is closer now. Not a gate. Not a grave. A maw. A mouth. A great cavern carved into the sea itself, ringed with shipwrecks and bones. Ships like ours. All still. All dead. Their sails sag like skin. Their decks silent. But I know they're full. Full of others like me. Waiting. Watching. I saw myself last night. Not a reflection me. Standing at the prow. Eyeless. Smiling. Raised a hand. I raised mine too. We moved the same. Perfectly. Until I turned and walked away. It stayed. Watching. I think it's who I become when I stop pretending. I hear the voices all the time now. Not whispers. Songs. Lullabies in languages I never learned but still understand. They call me by name. Elias. They say it sweetly like a mother calling her child home. Like they've been waiting. The last crew member threw himself into the sea last night. I didn't try to stop him. I just watched. He never surfaced. But something did. It waved. I've stopped eating. Drinking. Writing. But I still feel alive. The serpent sustains us now. It feeds off the last scraps of will. I think it needs a witness. One to carry the memory. One to finish the voyage. And I will. I will see this through. The wood pulses beneath my feet. The deck is soft. Like flesh. Like breathing skin. The sails tremble without wind. The ropes coil like veins. Everything is awake. I stepped into the captain's quarters this morning. The walls were covered in names. Hundreds, thousands scratched into the wood in every language I've ever heard. I found mine, twice. Once carved. Once bleeding. I think this ship has sailed before. I think it always sails. I sat at Harrow's desk. The chair welcomed me. The ink bottle refilled itself. The quill moved before I touched it. Writing its own words. My hands followed. They wrote this. We are approaching the maw now. The sea parts ahead like lips. The serpent groans with joy. The sky opens wider. I see lights beneath the water, cities, towers, bones too massive to name. This is not hell. This is not punishment. This is something older. We tried to carry death across the sea in chains. We thought we could profit from suffering. But the sea remembers. The sea reclaims. The sea is alive. And she has teeth. As I finish this last page, I feel the air shift. The wind moans. The sails swell. The ship tilts forward. We are entering the mouth. I do not scream. I do not pray. I only write. Let this be the last voice of the living. Let this be the truth they bury. We are the drowned. We are the damned. And the voyage is never over. There is no more sea. There is only dark. The serpent has crossed through something. A veil. A wound. A gate carved in salt and silence. It groaned once, a final shudder through her spine, and then everything went still. The sails hung lifeless. The rigging dripped like sinew. The wood stopped breathing. I'm not sure how long we've been here. Time is gone. I don't feel hunger, thirst, pain. I don't sleep, but I dream. I walk the decks endlessly and the ship walks with me. She speaks now in pulses and sighs and memories that aren't mine. She shows me visions. The hold is open. Not the same hold I feared. This one goes down. Far deeper than any ship should contain. I followed it once. Lantern in hand. The air smelled like iron and flowers and smoke. The walls were carved with faces. Familiar. Weeping. Laughing. Devouring. At the bottom I found a chamber. Not man-made. Stone blacker than ink, slick with veins that pulsed like arteries. A circle etched in the floor. A heart still beating in the center, chained with silver. I don't know whose heart it was. I only knew I wasn't meant to see it. It saw me anyway. That night I woke up screaming blood. Above deck the sky is gone. No stars. No horizon. Just a dome of bone-white light that throbs like a womb. We float, but there is no water. Just a mirror. I looked into it and saw every man who ever died in chains staring back. They weren't angry. They were waiting. I spoke aloud for the first time in what felt like years. I'm sorry. And they answered. No, you're not. They were right. I wasn't. Not truly. Not deeply. My survival had always been selfish. I thought I could outlast the curse, write the tale, bring it back. But this story is not mine to end. I hear them walking the deck now. The ones who died first. The ones we tried to forget. Their chains don't rattle. They drag like roots. Their feet don't touch the boards. They glide. They've come for me. I won't run. I think that's what the serpent wanted all along, not a captain, not a witness, but a confessor. Someone to feel every inch of what we did. To carry the memory into the maw. I lay down on the deck now, arms spread. I feel the ship wrapping around me. The boards soft. The ropes loose. The air thick. The dead are near. I feel them enter my lungs with every breath. They fill me. I am becoming one of them. But before I go, I say this. If this vessel is ever found adrift on some lonely shore, half swallowed by time and sea, do not board her. Do not open her hold. Do not light her lanterns. Do not speak her name. She is a wound. A curse, a sentence. And she always comes back. Her voyage is never over. And now neither is mine.